Let's talk to psychologist Honey Langcaster-James, who takes a look at these relationships, and it's so interesting, isn't it? Because when you think, Honey, about how difficult it must be to establish a relationship, maintain a relationship online, those two were doing really well.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm all for it. I think, whatever can help us all get through this very, very strange situation has got to be a good thing. And of course, relationships in lockdown is not an entirely new thing. I've been working for many years in reality television. I've worked on Love Island. I've worked on The Circle, a show that was all about people getting to know each other online before they ever met in person. And so we know a little bit about what can happen. And I think what we were hearing there was quite typical. So you tend to sort of find that you get very intimate in terms of what you know about each other, but in other ways things slow down. So obviously the kind of physical contact part of thing hasn't even happened yet. Who knows how that will go? But at least this gives a little bit of space to actually hear about each other's lives, and how wonderful that they're coming up with creative ways to spend time together.
Yeah, well, I mean, Tom and Sophie, a perfect example. It's clearly working for them. In my head, I'm thinking, clearly the bit that they can't, I suppose they can replicate it, but they can't actually have is that body language thing where you're actually reading someone because you're right with them. That's one thing that is different, but I suppose you work out different ways of achieving the same thing.
Yes, that's right. I mean, you can actually get quite a lot of information over kind of a video call, just like this. You can still see facial expressions. You can still see how you respond to one another. It's obviously not the same as seeing someone's whole demeanour and all the non-verbal communication that we get from how people move their bodies in tandem to one another. For many years, we've been analysing the way people flirt and the way they go on dates, and you can see from quite far away whether someone's attracted and they're leaning in, or whether they're not very interested and they're sitting back. So of course some of that meaning will be lost, but I still think that actually you can have a very meaningful relationship with someone over a video call, even over the telephone. I mean, I work with an awful lot of my clients who are based all around the world via video call, and actually you get used to it, and in some ways it actually kind of heightens the senses and sort of focuses the mind onto what people are actually saying, and we listen to each other more sometimes.
Well, it's an insight, certainly, and it's the way the world's changing. Honey Langcaster-James, psychologist, thank you very much for talking to us this morning on Breakfast.